I get so sucked into these. It's how many vinyl community vinyl tags do we need? I have to do one for, do I have to do one for Vinyl Richie? He's got one going, an alternative wacko tag, and now I'm doing this one first. Sorry, Richie. Dick. Um, this is for Alan. This is for the Static Traveler out of the UK. The Static Traveler. I'm not gonna even try. I always like his voice. One of the greatest voices in the VC, maybe second only or tied with Mark, Vinyl Crush Mark, kind of that 3 a.m. American FM radio voice we used to hear in the 70s. Now you're gonna hear a little 17-minute version of Dark Star. Anyway, he's got 10 questions, and this is the non-vinyl tag. So except for one, I'm not showing any vinyl, so it's all in the combat that's a Freudian, compact disc realm. But let's just jump into it, and I'll do it fairly quickly. Show a mini album replica format CD or one with an unusual packaging. So this is, I think, the most unusual packaging I have. Should have said warning, there's going to be several naked pictures in this video. Naked. This is the Talking Heads. Now, if you've watched my videos, I love artwork, so look at this CD box set. Naked, but you know, amazing artwork, amazing, these beautiful panels. I keep it on these shelves long ways, so lucky I have the right shelves to hold it. But it's a great kind of overview, not a complete overview of their discography, but it's got, was it 3 CDs, 4 CDs? I don't even remember now. It's a cool record, but it's friggin' impossible to pull out and play most of the time. So if you want, it's totally unreasonable. There you go. So there. What am I going to say? I'm not going to say anything about it. It's just unreasonable and it's unusual, very unusual. Aesthetically, artistically, I love it. Love this cover. And of course, I should have named the artist, but I'm not going to open it again because it's so unrealistic to open. There you go. Okay. Talking Heads, once in a lifetime. There you go. We'll phone you next. Okay, second question. Show a music book you have returned to often. I have a bunch of music books, but I really quite like this one. Since you're in the UK, I thought it was an appropriate one. Everybody in the UK and us Americans in the know over the years know who David Peel was. Probably the greatest DJ, maybe in the history of ever around the world, but of course in the UK, really pioneered and pushed a lot of new acts, a lot of new music over the decades. So many artists owe their careers to John Peel. Did I say David Peel? Anyway, John Peel. And what this is like a social diary. It takes some of his radio shows throughout his career from 1967 to 2004, 300 broadcasts, recreates them a little bit, analyze them, how what was important about him at the time in the day. And it's a really thick book, only available in the UK. Really, really well. So you'll see the John Peel show and I'll talk about the sessions. Highly recommend this book. I don't know if it's still available. Show 3 releases linked by the same artist from 3 different decades. Okay, we're going back to the 70s. XTC drums and wires. Love this record. Of course, this is a reissue with Blu-ray with 5.1 mix and other versions, stereo mix 5.1, Making Plans for Nigel, of course. But anyway, Andy Partridge is the person I'm going with here, even though Making Plans for Nigel was not an Andy Partridge song, but there's other great songs on here. A favorite of mine, the first one I really maybe loved, the first XTC, then I went back and got the earlier ones. So you got this. Then there's a series, I believe in the 90s or early 2000s I bought these. Let's see, what year is it? Early 2000s. This is the Funny Warble series, and these are Andy Partridge series of demos, outtakes, alternative things from XTC, solo stuff. So this actually goes beyond, it goes back to the 70s and beyond, 80s, 90s. Really good series. I have the whole series of these. I think I do. I have 8 volumes, 8 CDs of them. Really great stuff. You hear the buildup of some songs that XTC recorded, some that are really a different evolution. So it's almost like a anthology archive, an early vision of some of his music. Love Andy Partridge. I think he's a genius. And then most recently, in the last 2 years ago, is this, and this is Planet England. It's Robert Hitchcock and Andy Partridge. It's an EP. I only have the CD version of it, and it's very psychedelic and really good. Opens up with the song "Turn Me On, Dead Man," obviously somewhat of a Beatle homage, but Robert Hitchcock and Andy Partridge. So over several decades, Andy Partridge from XTC fame. Okay, the next question. Show a box set you own with the most CDs. Johnny Cash. This is Johnny Cash, the complete Columbia albums collection. This has, and they're numbered, which makes it even easier. This has, they're numbered, 63 CDs. 63 CDs, numbered, starting with the fabulous Johnny Cash and ending with, well, the last album is this, which actually is a reissue of an earlier record, but I guess his last new album here was Johnny Cash at Madison Square Gardens. Let's see what his last studio album was for Columbia. God, if I get these out of order, I'm screwed. Let's see. Oh, I guess the Highwaymen 2 would be considered his last record, but that's like a group record again. Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash. But it ends with a singles comp, a Johnny Cash singles comp in there. And of course, it's got a fabulous, wonderful booklet. So, I mean, I think this is that long out of print, but the great Johnny Cash Columbia. I also have a Dylan version of this, which is incredible. I also have a thick Harry Nilsson one, which is pretty good too. Harry Nilsson would have been good too. Show Music Magazine or magazine produced production. I'd say my favorite all-time music magazine is Mojo Magazine. Of course, this was for the 50th anniversary of the Beatles' White Album, so of course it replicates the White Album. American Rolling Stone wouldn't be caught dead doing this, only because you can't really promote the magazine. It's got a blind embossed, if you can see that with a light, Mojo, which is pretty incredible. And it's a number 300. Great record. I learned new stuff. Obviously, a lot of time people think this is heavily based on the boomer type music in 60s and 70s and 80s. They always do Beatle covers, Dylan covers, and boomer acts, but they do new music too. And I just love this magazine. I haven't been buying it as much lately, but for a while I subscribed to it. Here's another version, of course, with Bob Dylan. I guess McCartney and the Beatles have been on the covers more than anybody else. But Mojo Magazine, another UK magazine. Show a non-musical CD or cassette. There is some music on here, but it's from Rhino, did a series of CDs called Word Beat Poetry. They did a beat poetry box set, but this is one of Jack Kerouac. Obviously, this one is music because it's the great sort of comedian, satiricist, and piano player and talk show host Steve Allen doing music while Jack Kerouac reads some of his poetry and some of his from his books. But obviously a lot of beat poetry and Jack Kerouac reading from his various books and poetry. So Neil Cassidy and Three Stooges, San Francisco Street Scene, Money Honey, The Sad Turtle. So Jack Kerouac, one of the great beat poets in the whole Beat Generation thing. I'm a big fan of this period. And show an album you have not played in over 2 years. I haven't played this in over 10 years. Billy Joel's Greatest Hits. Okay, show a music-related DVD you would recommend. This is The Wrong-Eyed Jesus, and this is a documentary by Andrew Douglas. It says here, beautiful, dark, and weird stuff, quoted by David Byrne. Of course, David Byrne would say that because Wrong-Eyed Jesus, because his records, Jim White is the artist that this is a documentary on. I think he made all his records for Luca Bop, which was David Byrne's label. His records are stupendous. I have every one on CD they put out. They only put out one of his records, I think it was debut, Wrong-Eyed Jesus, out on vinyl. And it's he's sort of a psychedelic cowboy country. Beautiful records. I wish they would all come out on vinyl. Again, I have them all on CDs. It says, a delightful and demented, fascinating glimpse into a startling subculture of angels and demons. Get off the interstate and take an extraordinary personal journey into the soulful, sacred, and profane heart of the South. Singer-songwriter Jim White is your guide along the junkyard roads into the gritty backwoods and backwater terrain of churches, bars, truck stops, and prisons. It's of the South. It's really interesting. Anyway, Jim White, you should listen to his records. They're incredible country, modern country records. I think this guy's got it over Sturgill Simpson. I know he's like the psychedelic cowboy in a way, now doing bluegrass. But these records, I wish he had gotten more recognition. Really love his stuff. Soundtrack available on Luca Bop Records. Good one. Love that. It's great to pull that out. I'm going to watch it tonight. Okay, and show an album which was a disappointment. This one I'm showing as a vinyl version, and that's the Byrds reunion record. This was 1973 on Asylum Records. Now, I love the Byrds from beginning to end. I even love their later period with Clarence White and their country period, Byrds Untitled. Love all that stuff till the very end. I think every record of them is really good. I think I was disappointed with this because this is the first time the original 5 members of the Byrds, Gene Clark, Michael Clark, Chris Hillman, David Crosby, and Roger Jim McGuinn got together again for Asylum Records. There was so much anticipation from people like myself, fans of the original Byrds and the harmonies. This is sort of a disjointed, almost like a solo record. They do a cover of Neil Young's Cowgirl in the Sand. It's not a bad listen now after all these years, and so it's definitely not a terrible record. Opens up with the song Full Circle, a great Gene Clark song, and Gene Clark singing, but it just doesn't fit together. It's not a great record, so big disappointment. Again, not a bad record if you see it, if you're a Byrds fan, if you like country rock, pick it up. But when I'm thinking in 1973 when I got it and really excited for it, I put it on and like, wasn't so great. Okay, last question. Show an album with a poor cover and or album you would never play in front of your parents or your children. I can now with my child, because my son is 30. My parents are gone, but it's John and Yoko's 2 versions, 1968, released on Tetragrammaton because EMI and Capitol and Apple even wouldn't put it out because of this. Do you want to see it real quick? Get ready for a freeze frame. And I wouldn't play this, and I wouldn't play the reissue I bought that's even open that they reissued on Chimera Records. 2 versions is a mystique, concrete first kiss of 2 of history's greatest lovers falling in love in real time. Limited edition, white vinyl. Includes download and bonus tracks. Avant-garde, ambient, what can I say about this? So that's it, John and Yoko. I'll put a link below to the Static Traveler, and this is a fun one. Who knows if we're gonna do any more of these Vinyl Tag 2021s. Let's think about Vinyl Tag 2022 next. Mazzy loves you.